Welcome back to another episode of Aboutcast. It is your main man, Jordan, ready to bring back some good information and good takes on a crazy Attack on Titan episode. And of course, I have my main man, Chris, here talking about all things good Attack on Titan on this fifth one called Declaration of War, which I think is gorgeous for this title of this episode specifically. Chris, how's it going?
I'm good, dude. Really excited to be here again talking to you about this episode. It's pretty crazy and full of a lot of juicy information that really kind of changes the game and changes everything that we've kind of thought about or just the things that we've known up to this point has changed a lot. So I'm excited to get into it, man.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Where this episode, I feel like, is such a well. I mean, we have a definite shift in what's going on. We've seen Eren more than ever on this. We've actually seen the history of Marley and the Ludians a little bit more. It's like these episodes. It's almost like every other episode, but even more so. As far as we've gained so much information on these past prior four, but now this one almost steps it up a notch, doing kind of the same tempo and cadence as we had before. But we start in a really weird. So I want to do this chronologically because there's some like really interesting things that I think we can catch from this mirroring of a lot of things. So we start with we have Reiner, Annie, and then Barthold going across the field, and they're talking about the guy that abandoned those recruits, and then they're kind of postulating why he did so or why they actually told him. And then at the same time, we have Reiner coming into the basement, which I think is a perfect way of mirroring right there. But what were you thinking when you saw this scene specifically, Chris, and almost sandwich the two together? So obviously you have like Reiner in the past and then Reiner in the present coming face to face with Eren.
Yeah, it seemed like I think it was Berthold who said that it seemed like the guy wanted to be judged, and right as Berthold said that, I'm pretty sure it like switched scenes to where Reiner was walking down the hallway, and kind of
Mm-hmm.
what I had in my notes was just that it just seems like they're implying that Reiner wants to be judged by someone because it seems like he just feels so awful about what he's done, but at the same time, I feel like he's also proud of it, and he's just in this like craziness of just like not knowing exactly like who he is right now. And I think this is just kind of showing that like Eren is the one who's going to be judging him.
Yeah, I really like this analogy or something I thought of while watching this episode. Reiner's almost being kind of haunted and chased by ghosts, and the ghosts of his memories of
Mhm.
the things that he's done when he was in Paradis, and even before then when he did all of those things for the acceptance of his father and kind of the amalgamation of his family, and all of these things were hollow and kind of ate away at his soul slowly but surely. And then we have the guy that we see right now, and I think that's a perfect example of you know all the horrific things or the things that Reiner found horrific in his life. He's coming to judgment for them, and I think it's absolutely Reiner. And once again, one of the one of the many mirrorings or mirrorings that we find in this episode with as audio comes in from dialogue from somebody else, you'll see a scene or image, and we see that again a lot of times in this episode, and even perfectly sandwiched at the end. But one thing that I really want to notate too is that when they kind of come to the basement, you realize like a lot of things about Eren. One, his Titan powers are extraordinarily advanced. Now that we know that he's chilling in the basement and he actually has a cut hand, so it's almost like he's ready to rock and roll, and he's just delaying it, which I find like it's such a cool scene to start out with, just because it's like, oh snap, like he's about to turn on any second. And in the basement themselves, it was so kind of compact and tight that he knew that Reiner couldn't turn into a Titan without killing tons of people. So it's like perfect setup for that scene.
I think it was dang near perfectly placed in my eyes because like the entire time that I was watching it, like the music was building up and tension was rising. And I'm just sitting, like, I was literally watching this, sitting like on the edge of my seat, like, what's gonna happen next? And I feel like the whole time I was watching this, I had a huge smile on my face the entire time.
Hmm.
And I just feel like they've been doing this season so well. Like every single episode, we've gotten more and more information that we didn't know about. We've learned so many different like plot twists and things of that nature. I don't think I could think of anything else besides having everyone just come from Paradise and just wreck everyone.
Just
But
get crazy.
yeah, but I feel like that's kind of just wishful thinking, and I do feel like we're gonna get that probably next episode or the next couple episodes. But yeah, this one was amazing and great and full of lots of information, and I really enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah, yeah. I think the intro was like very, very, very strong,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a lot of things that set up for the rest of the episode that kind of is just like suspense building at all times. And it's even like, even the small players like Falco, like understanding his psyche of realizing like, wait, what's going on? And slowly realizing what is happening. And then the enemy of the country is sitting in this basement. And it was somebody that you thought fondly of and inspired you to do better, to beat Gabby and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to see, even like, even though he's a small bit player, he's the smallest person in the room. There's so much to his psyche in that moment
Yeah.
that's just like gorgeous as far as storytelling goes. But moving on, I think that obviously there's tons of detail in this episode that I find like actually quite noteworthy. So number one, the next scene from my understanding or my notes is when Willy is kind of prepping for his moment on stage, and so this is leading up to that. And then we have the I think it's like the ambassador or the diplomat of the another country, and this lady's name is Madame Azumbato, and she's basically calling Willy brave. And this is anticipation of like, why would she be calling him brave just because he's going on stage? I don't believe that's why. She says her whole clan thinks he's courageous and brave. And I think this is just another implication or alluding to how many people are aware or countries are aware of the actual true history outside of Marley themselves. And it's also quite weird that she just left right afterwards. Like she knew what was happening. You think that there's a reason why she left? Of course, she couldn't have known that there was going to be an attack. But I think it was odd that they clearly showed her saying, "Let's get out of here," and like a scenes of her leaving.
Yeah, I thought it was really strange too. Did feel like she did know something. Something was up. I don't know what that was. But I just had a funny theory pop in my head. So you know how we were talking about, or I said last time that she had that symbol on the back for a kimono, and
Yeah,
I know how I said it. She could be like an Ackerman or something like
Ackerman.
that. What if, like you said, what if she already knew the truth because she couldn't have her memories wiped? But that also just doesn't really make sense. That was just a funny theory that popped in my head as you were talking about that. Sorry. Um, but yeah, like I said, I do think it's really weird that she left without watching or anything like that. As far as the reason why, I have no idea. Kind of excited to learn about more about that and learn more about like just who she is and what she's about because I feel like they're starting to show her more and more.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I just feel like she's gonna become important maybe further down the line.
I think you're so right because she's getting a suspicious amount of like little bit of airtime here and there. And one, I'm all about these like theories and ideas, and so just keep on coming with them. And two, to match your theory, what if? Because there's no reason that she should have left, knowing the things that we know about her right now. So what if the Paradis reached out to another country and said, "Hey,
Mm.
we need you, like, we need information or anything like that," because they're breaching into a country that they have no idea about outside of Eren's memories. And maybe in the book there was written down things, but clearly it's from Eren's memory. So maybe that is the reason, like she knew of this attack that was going to be happening or the craziness that was about to ensue, and that's why they showed her. So it's almost like they can't take on a whole entire army just with the people they have, so
Yeah.
they need like backup reinforcements. And knowing that Marley's just been kind of the big kid on the block and a bully to a lot of the other countries recently, years prior, before this 4-year war, maybe that country is just kind of like keen in getting in and taking back some valuable resources. But who knows? That's kind of another theory that I just casted out there that I
Yeah.
spawned from your from kind of your pontification. But anyway, so we get this kind of eerie information from her. We know that Willy's going to be hopping up, and we also, it's kind of weird. I don't know why that this would be in there either, but it has to be meaningful. We see Annie's dad, and she's with Reiner's mom, and they kind of have a quick back and forth, and it kind of is, it's just like super clear that he believes that his daughter is still alive, which I hope, I mean, granted, I think this is weird saying, but I hopefully she's not, and her Titan power is being put to good use from Paradis. But do you think, just to answer that question, do you think there's any possibility that she's still alive and outside of the crystal?
Hmm. I don't know if she's outside the crystal. I think she's still alive. But I don't know. I do have, when we get towards the end, I do kind of have another theory that I want to throw at you, but that's for the end.
Okay, yeah, save it for
Um,
dessert.
but yeah, going along with like meeting Annie's dad and stuff. Did you catch that? He mentioned Berthold's dad and him passing away. It was just a little small detail
Yeah.
that they threw out there.
Yeah, so that was one thing that I was kind of confused on. I wasn't sure who exactly they were talking about, but so Bert Hull's dad also died, is what you're saying that you got out of that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they said that he like passed away in his sleep or something like that. He said Mr. Hoover, and that's I had to
Mm.
look it up, and that's Berthold's last name. And then he mentioned like, oh, he was so proud of his son and his sacrifice he made for our country, or something along those lines.
I see. That is super interesting. And maybe this is another kind of ploy or way of showing everybody getting together. And it's almost interesting that you wouldn't see Poke and or Giard and Marcel's parents or father there then too, because you'd imagine that the original warriors or the people that went out there, all of their parents would be represented.
Yeah.
So odd, but good pickup on the Hoover, because I didn't get that. But anyway, so the the next thing that we see, or my note says, is that we actually see that they're kind of ready for something, the Marleyans. And the dead giveaway is Commander Magath, and he's on top of a building with a perfect viewpoint of Willy and the stage. And he has like dudes with rifles and stuff. And dude, it seems so strange to see those rifles, and almost like, they would want a vantage point of everything but the stage, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're pointed at the stage.
Yeah, I did catch the same thing that you did. But I don't know, like, what it like, even if they did have those rifles, what if someone turned into a Titan, like Eren? Like, what are those rifles gonna do? You know?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. Like, are they misjudging? And once again, this could be a little weird for this commander, because I feel like he's one of the more sober, um, elite military men, or like higher up military men that Marley has. But could this just be a classic like misjudging of their enemy here, thinking that, oh, okay, so we can take them out, but they know that they have at least a couple of the Titan powers, so. Um,
Yeah,
and
that's true. It also shows kind of like, how we're talking about how they almost seem like complacent in the last episode.
yeah,
I feel like it's just another example of them just being like, oh, like we know what we're doing, but at the
Mm,
same time, like they have no idea what they're doing.
yeah. And this could also be a thing of last episode, we mentioned that Willy and the commander were talking about how, there's like, there's maybe this is the wrong word, but essentially that the foundation is messed up because of,
Mm.
there's so many like worms or infections inside of it. So this could be the assumption that not only are there people who that are incompetent, but also there's spies on other ends, and they might even be Marleyans or other countries too. Because I guess one thing that we have to get straight is like all the world's eyes are here to see this.
Mhm.
Diplomats and people from other countries. Um, Obviously, everybody from kind of the who's who of Marley, and so I mean, it could just be an extra precaution. Maybe that is, and it could be all of the things that we've kind of hypothesized combined. And I think they would all coincide. Them being incompetent, watching out for others, and I don't know, just kind of being a big event with the Tybur family, being that they don't go out often. Maybe that's a thing too, but
Yeah.
just kind of a weird one.
Yeah, for sure. I just would almost assume that they would have like maximum security though for such a big event and this huge declaration that is going to be happening. But yeah, like you said, who knows?
Hmm. But anyway, dude, so here's where it gets super exciting for me. Um, we see Armin for the very first time this season. And I don't know if you picked it up or strongly believed it was Armin, but I'm like, I spent my time trying to figure this bad boy out. And so Armin essentially, he's in a soldier outfit and he goes and takes the other, like the warriors out. So essentially going to, the rest of them that are there. So that is Giard, Pike, and then also Zeke saying, "Hey, you guys have orders by the commander to go, like come with me." And so he takes them. And one thing I want to like put out there right now is that he's a lot taller. He's a lot taller, and I think I have
Mhm.
a hypothesis for this. But was there anything outside of like his height, or did you even believe that it was Armin, or did you think it was somebody else? What was your take on that?
I for sure thought it was Armin. Like first time I saw him, I was like, "Oh, that's Armin,"
Mm.
and he's rocking a
Yeah.
beard too. If you didn't notice that as well,
Was that
um,
the little chin strap joint? Because
yeah,
I thought that
yeah.
that was the. I mean, it's
Um,
kind of it suited him.
oh yeah, for sure. But anyways, the only another reason why that I believe that it is Armin is because Pike, when he first took him, she's like, "Oh, you look kind of familiar. Like, do I know you from somewhere?" And then he obviously kind of played it off and said, "Oh, I'm from this place." But it's just interesting that she like recognized him even like
Hmm.
when she was in Titan form, like when she saw him, she was still able to do that. But yeah, that's what really like solidified and confirmed it for me. It was that when she said, "You look really familiar," and then when they got dropped off at that in that room and then dropped in that
Into the
big,
trap.
yeah.
It was like it's settled.
Mhm.
That's super interesting that you picked that up. I thought that when it makes perfect sense the way that you said it too. It's because did she see Armin? I didn't know that she saw Armin in Titan form during the kind of the final sways of season 3, part 2. But I did believe that it kind of gave me like a clue that Armin's been kind of spying and stuff from here on out. So it's almost like she's seen him in the shadows, maybe. And Pike is
Oh yeah.
one of the smartest ones of the warriors, and so I wouldn't be surprised if she just was like very, very perceptive in that way.
Yeah.
Um, One other dead giveaway for me was I took the time to kind of like track exactly where the timestamp was, but at 10:49 in the episode, you actually get a really good glimpse of Armin's eyes, and they're the classic like really like strong
Mhm.
blue eyes of his, and I think that was the dead giveaway too. And to answer kind of the height thing, I think that well, obviously we know that the Titan form does affect the real body, and Pike's a perfect example of her neurologically feeling more comfortably like on all fours than she did like standing on 2 feet when she spent so much time in her cart titan body. So I think maybe there's a chance that the colossal titan kind of like kind of stimulates the body to grow more. And of course, I mean, it's been a long time. It's been 4 years, so I'm sure the dude's matured a bit as well.
Dude, that's a good catch. I didn't think about that about Pike being on all fours like when she first got done being a Titan and how it affects
Mhm.
the human body. That was a great catch, dude.
Thanks, man. I'm just trying to supply some good content here. And so you know what, to double up on my kind of my great catch, hopefully you can say the same about this one. Did you know, here's a little fun fact. So Helos is the Marleyan like kind of hero for 100 years ago, like beating up every Titan and stuff like that, and restoring peace with the Tybur family. Did you know in Greek mythology, Helios is the god of the sun, and is sometimes they call that like Helios a Titan?
Oh, what?
Yeah, that was a fun fact. Helios, you can look it up in Britannica. It talks about how that's the god of sun, and then he was sometimes referred to as a titan. So I
Hmm.
find that like super interesting, and good play on words by the Attack on Titan crew.
Yeah.
Just kind of just a little thing like that. But anyway, so back to track. I think we have a lot of stuff going on in this at this moment with seeing Armin, but we also are seeing snippets of Eren too, while Willy's talking about the history of the country. And this is when it kind of gets like even more intense and intimate, with Eren saying that he had no other choice. And this was off of the question of Reiner saying, like, why? Like, how and why are you here? And I think I think that this is kind of a reflection of the fact that he had no other choice in multiple ways. One, he had no choice but to be there because he was about to die. So, you know, the only option that he had for himself, knowing how strongly convicted Eren was to destroy everybody himself, was to go over there. Two, I think it's also the fact that Marley would have never stopped until they've gotten the power. So it's almost like you have to cut off the snake at the head type of
Mhm.
thing. And you couldn't fort attacks from them back home, but you'd have to go in and take everybody out. And that's why they're there. Was there anything else that you could pick up from that? Or, you know, did you want to expand on any of the things if you agree totally, Chris?
Oh no, I agree 100%. I feel like you hit the nail on the head with just everything that you said. Honestly, I don't have a whole lot else to add to that.
Gotcha. And once again, I think that this is a really gorgeous scene between Aaron. Oh, it's kind of like it's really, there's so many vacillations of emotion from me, and I think it's mainly because Aaron is so terrifying in this, like in this setting to Reiner and Falco, because he's so unpredictable, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of sympathy being laid down, um, and it almost seemed like you know, Aaron was there to kind of, and it's so weird to say, but I feel like they almost trick you into thinking that Aaron is a part of, you know, like Aaron isn't there to attack people in a weird way, by the way that he kind of, he innocently asks, of course intentionally knowing. Well, here's another question too. During them talking, Aaron kind of asks a lot of like questions like why was his mother eaten and stuff like that, and Reiner talks about how your mom was eaten because I broke down the wall to invade, you know, to break down the wall. And he's like, well, why did you do that? And and I think that it's super interesting, and I think it's super telling, because it, one, implicates Willy in a lie, and two, um, kind of breaks Reiner down. But they did that whole thing, that whole operation, and sent four out of the six Titans that they controlled, the country of Marley. I'm not counting the Warhammer in this, but they sent them there to see what the king would do if they burst down the wall. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Uh,
Did you catch that?
I did. It's just the first reaction I had was just why, because in Willy's big speech, he mentioned like the king wanting peace, but
Hmm.
at the same time, the king mentioned that if you come over to the island and attack, I will send thousands of titans over to destroy you all. And then further on, Willy then says that, but the king like he wouldn't actually do it because all he does is he want peace.
Hmm.
So like knowing that, why even bother? Like you know that they're over there, but like you know at the same time that they're not going to do anything. It just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me. Like why they would do it in the first place. I mean, I guess they were just thirsty for power and stuff like that. Um, but at the same time, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And, to give the benefit of the doubt, there could be a reason why, once again, we're getting information from Reiner here. And so he could be kind of like fractured and having a hard time with everything. But at the same time, I think you would be completely honest in this
Mhm.
particular thing. So either he's kind of like in a psychosis already and thinking that's why they did it, and that's why he feels so horrific, or that's actually why. Um, but and another thing is maybe he's even more being more honest because they didn't send Zeke and Pike over,
Mhm.
or maybe Pike wasn't even part of, or the Cart Titan is probably a better way to say it, over there as well as like an all out assault. And they didn't know anything about where the founding Titan was either.
Yeah.
But once again, this is something that Willie left out in his monologue. So
Oh
essentially, he
yeah.
was saying, and this is another fat lie by them, kind of, or the omission of truth, where, you know, he was talking about how the king was this total pacifist, like you were saying, and that everything was fine, and that they were actually the real, like, evil villains here, where they were like attacking this country that didn't want any war or anything like that. And now all of a sudden it shifted from there. Of course there was things that happened in between, but it shifted from there to saying, yeah, it got, put in the wrong hands, and that's why I'm here, to tell you that we need to like pair up and fight these guys, or else it'll be too late for everybody. And so it's like, well, all of a sudden, if the king didn't want anything to do with you and wanted to like keep his peace and made these giant colossal titan walls, which is insane to think that the founding titan power can do that, then like how all of a sudden do you know that now it's in the wrong hands, right? It's like
Mhm.
another thing, like kind of a sleight of hand thing of saying, yeah, um look over here really quick, and then all of a sudden here we go, there's a rabbit in this hat. And
Yeah.
so I found it really interesting. Was there anything else from this like part that you found like super impactful or that you picked up?
Kind of just all, I guess, like all the stuff that Willie said, like in his speech, about how just everything was different than what we thought. Kind of like what I said at the beginning of the pod. It's just like part of me like wants to know if this is actually true or not. Like, is he speaking the actual truth or is he not?
Mm,
But other than that, like just the fact that like I said, everything that we thought we knew, we don't actually know, was the biggest
yeah.
biggest thing for me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think that you're 100% right. It's a This is like a wake up call, and we've like
Mhm.
learned more and more about this universe as the episodes have been going, and this has been like a super informationally heavy season so far. But this
Yeah.
one just kind of blows the rest of the episodes out of the water. And I think that this is where we kind of get to this last really really amazing mirroring part again. And this is where Eren is saying that, he's relating to Reiner and saying that we are the same type of person, and it gives Reiner hope, thinking like, he's so regretful of the things that he's done as well, and he doesn't want to kill anymore. And this, because this is where Reiner's at. He's thinking that this is just a horrific, like he wants us all to go away. He doesn't want to go back to Paradis. He doesn't want to have to try to fight these guys anymore. He's done being a Titan and a warrior. And I think this is one of the most badass things. And at this point, Reiner's like on the floor, Aaron standing over and with his hand extended, and another example of them playing with the dialogue from other scenes and putting it into one scene that matches perfectly. Willy is at the peak of his monologue saying, I want you to join me in the fight against the devils of Paradise Island. And Eren is extending his hand to Reiner. And once they lock hands, I think it's then that Eren says, I finished the job, or like, I'll finish to the very end. And it's like, oh, that's
Yeah.
cold as hell. That,
Yeah.
dude, I was like amazed by that. That was strong.
Hmm. Yeah. I think what he said was, here, I wrote it down. It says, I think we're born this way. I keep moving forward until I destroy my enemies.
Dude.
And it's just like, he's basically repeating everything that Reiner has said to him in the past, which is just
Mm,
super crazy how they did it. And just how it was going back and forth between Willy's speech and Eren and Reiner's conversation. It was just like so beautifully done. And like the music was absolutely amazing. I'm pretty sure we got the same music that we did, I think, in like the very first episode when you first see the Colossal Titan. I thought that was
no
really
way.
cool. I think so. Definitely don't quote me on it, but the music did sound very similar to like the past seasons and like when big things were happening.
Mm-hmm. That's,
Um,
dude. Yeah, sorry, go for it.
oh, I was just. Did you kind of catch when Aaron was talking about how they were all the same? Like he had the same thoughts as the Marlians, as like the Marlians did, as like how the Marlians thought about the Eldians. Like Aaron
No.
thought, um, he thought all the Marlians across the sea were devils. The Marlians thought the Eldians across the sea were devils and stuff like that. Like he thought they were all enemies, but then he
Oh,
said that
yeah.
like he came over and like lived with you guys. I ate the same food as you guys, and he realized that they're all the same.
They're
He just
good
said
people.
they're all just normal people, and I feel like it was kind of like how Reiner realized that when he was telling his family back. I think it was the Midnight Train episode
Yeah,
when
dude.
they're all
Yeah.
sitting at the dinner table, and like he started explaining like his experience and how the different characters were over across the sea, and then he kind of just said they're all just people, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it was just so cool how they did that as well, just showing, um, I guess, the culmination of all this stuff that all this information that we've been processing and seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And one piece of information that I think that we also pulled out of this, and maybe this is something that we already knew, but another reconfirmation of that is even throughout that process, we have the same experiences happening to two people. And I think this is where, you know, maybe we were born this way, as far as like, you know, them as passionate and wanting to drive for others. Eren, obviously, the death of his mother and the death of his, like, you know, friends and family and things of that nature. Reiner, the death of his friends and, you know, his sacrifice of his own life, being that he's like has to go through all of this horrific stuff, and he's, you know, can't live with specifically the death of Marcel, that he finds is his fault, but um you know, they're like so for other people and compassionate, but then in the end it's like Eren is just cold as hell and wants
Hmm.
to destroy every single one of them. And that's why I think he says there was no other option, almost like he forced, you know, he was like forced the people from Paradis, so the scout team and everybody else, of saying like, dude, like either you do this or I'm going to go by myself and do it. And so I think that that's actually like extraordinarily empowering, or like, you know, defines Eren as this person with extraordinary resolve and will. And I find it crazy. And dude, okay, so this is where I think, unless you have anything else to offer. Oh, and he also, maybe please push back if you don't think so, Chris, but I think that we, once Eren said that, he turned into his Titan form, blew up the building, and then instantly um went to go kill Willy. And I think he did. The way that it looked like he was either in half or like shredded up, and Eren was about to eat him. Was did you push? Would you want to push back on that, or do you think that's exactly what you saw as well?
I don't think it was Willy. I don't know.
You don't
Like,
think so? Whoa.
no, I for some reason, I don't know why. I honestly, this is gonna sound really, really crazy, but I think it was Annie.
How did Annie get there?
Just because it looked like a female to start. It looked like she had blonde hair. And I feel like there's something that I don't know if it was like, you know how Aaron had that cut on his hand?
Yeah,
And like I feel like they were like, I don't know why I think this, but I feel like they were making a point to show his cut like in his Titan form because it seemed like he still had that cut.
in his
Um,
Titan form. Really?
yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like it's so weird, and I don't know how like Annie would even fit into that equation. But to me, it just seemed like it looked like her. So that
Damn,
was
dude.
my big theory for the end. Was just
That
like,
that is yeah, that's a heavy one, dude. I
but I
mean,
don't know how it would work out. So
yeah. Yeah. That will and the thing is too, it's like that's exactly what Willie looks like, right? Like long hair, blonde.
yeah,
Um
true.
so but dude, that'd be a crazy one if it was, and then that would kind of make the scene with her father like even heavier. Like, holy dude, we really can't let a scene go by without
Mhm.
analyzing it if they're
And that
gonna
was
do
one of the
that.
reasons why I brought that up.
Gotcha.
But at the same time, like, d didn't isn't Willie the one with the Warhammer Titan?
So I don't think so, and this is a theory that I
Oh,
had.
okay, go ahead.
Um, and so the theory that I have is it's actually the black-haired woman, and we see her in the longest shot in the foreground, and there's shots in the background of Willie talking, and there's her there, and it's after he says like exposes the truth as far as history goes, and then looks over to the side where his family is and says, "Yeah, like judge me. I know you're judging me, and it's like, I, yeah, I deserve it," type of thing. And
Mhm,
I think it's her because she is the longest shot. One and two, it shouldn't be Willie's because if you think about it logically, it takes a lot of time to be a good leader and like diplomatic and like smart as far as like relationship building and like education and things of that nature. And so it just doesn't make sense to put it on somebody that has a clock of 13 years all of a sudden.
yeah,
And
true.
it wouldn't be somebody who's old because that's kind of why would they be old? I think the best time to have a Titan power is when you're younger.
Mhm,
Um, and so like she was one of the most reasonably looking, like fit the Goldilocks zone of age and kind of background as far as like where she was to kind of elicit that. And maybe that's a reach, but I don't believe it's Willie that has it. And it's because I also thought Willie just died or was about to die.
oh, interesting. Yeah, because for some reason, I thought he said that he was the one who inherited the Warhammer's powers, and so he was able to see, all of the history, that came
Mm,
with those powers. But dude, that's really interesting. Uh, yeah, I love this show so much.
dude, it's so good. It's so good, man. And it's like, you know, it's crazy that you can talk about this show for an hour over
Mhm.
something that lasted 20 minutes. That's how like rich and, in detail that they leave it. It's a really amazing show, and I think that they've somehow cranked it up for this last season too.
Oh
But
yeah.
obviously we're here, and there's a few things that we know and a few things that we suspect for this next upcoming episode that we have this following week. And what are your thoughts, premonitions, and ideas for this next one, being that we've talked about so much crazy stuff in this one? What do we
Mhm.
have for next episode?
I think we're gonna finally see the Warhammer Titan in their Titan form, whoever that may be.
Mm,
I think there's going to be a battle between Eren and the Warhammer Titan just because of proximity and all the stuff that's going down. Uh, Still hoping to see Armin and Mikasa and Levi and all those guys. I'm really hoping that all of them are over there. And just I think we're just gonna see another great episode. I just feel like every single one that we've watched, like it's definitely they've all builded on each other. But also like I feel like they've one upped each other like every single episode. Like it's been just better and better and better. And I think we're just gonna get the same thing too for the next one.
Hmm. I, I think you're probably right. Of course, I think that we're going to see the Warhammer Titan. It'd be really interesting to see like the interplay of the other warriors. So I'm really curious to see what Zeke's up to. We haven't seen much of him,
Mm,
and especially if he goes to the gate, like what is out there. So you got to think they have something waiting for him. For some reason,
yeah,
they didn't want to put all three of them in that pit. So it's like, who's out there? Is it Gene? Is it somebody else?
yeah.
Um, and so I'm really curious to see
Oh,
what's going
dude.
on with that. Uh,
Imagine if Levi's out there.
dog. Well,
Oh,
I don't see a reason why they wouldn't put him out there.
yeah.
Like, so we might see Levi next episode, which would be so crazy. I would be, wow,
Can
that
we
would
get
be insane.
a Zeke versus Levi round two?
I think Levi would be have something waiting for him.
Oh my
You know,
gosh.
he's not. I feel like how many people have gotten away from Levi? I would say close to zero, maybe even negative numbers. So I'd be so excited to see that because it's been 4 years, maybe like closer to five, maybe, and like both of them, I'm sure have matured a lot. And
Mhm.
Zeke's crazy desperate now, knowing that almost his legacy and his time on this earth is like running out. So
Yeah.
that'd be crazy to see, and hopefully we get that. But I'm thinking for next episode, we obviously get that juicy, uh, you know, Eren and the Warhammer Titan fight. Hopefully we get to see some Warhammer Titan abilities, and dude, more of Armin. I think we're going to see, obviously, other warriors get mixed up in the mix. But you know what I thought was amazing, or something that was kind of a crazy kind of a theory. Um, you know what, man? I think that they somehow synthed like some royal blood or something into Eren. Because I
Ooh.
feel like that would be amazing to see. Number one, his eyes are glinting a lot, and I know that's a silly reason, but if he knows, it's if you had 4 years and you knew that the only way to unlock your power fully would be to, have royal blood, then that would be extraordinary to see. We've never seen any other Titan be able to delay their healing like
Mhm.
he did there. So I'm thinking maybe what are these unlocked abilities about? Maybe it's time, maybe it's just kind of like skill set of being a Titan, or like that you can transform, or maybe he has some sort of like buff from having some of Historia's stuff in him. So who knows? But dude, I'm just like so hyped for
Dude,
this next episode.
that was a brilliant pull that you just wow. I'm like mind blown right now about that theory that you just brought up. That's crazy. And I feel like that is like it's more true than not. Or I guess it could be more true than not.
I, I mean, dude, it just kind of like, if I'm thinking it could be a reach, like going to be very fair. Like there's parts that might not make sense. Like how would they actually do it? There's no technology that we know of right now. But as far as they had 4 years, or maybe three, if I'm going to be generous, because they've been doing recon or so.
Mhm.
But it's like they had 3 years to figure out, okay, this is how you use the Titan powers the best. This founding Titan power is the most powerful, and we need royal blood for this one. um and also it would kind of make sense why, like, if you had the founding Titan power, then you could just decimate Marley. But if there was
Yeah.
like a range to it, then he would need to be over there anyway. But
Mhm.
who knows, man? I think hopefully we figure it all out, dude. But regardless if we figure that out or something else, man, it's gonna be a treat.
Yeah. I feel like once we figure something crazy out, something else it's just gonna come up that's gonna blow our minds even more anyways.
Yeah,
But
dude.
yeah,
So
dude, I'm so excited.
yeah, man, super excited, dude. Once again, thanks for being on this podcast, man. It makes it a hell of a lot more fun, and you always come up with like really strong Attack on Titan information, whether it's history, theories, or just a good person to bounce ideas off of, man. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, man. That any theory that I had earlier, it's definitely questionable, but I'm gonna stick to it until further notice.
Hey, bro. Yeah, you got to stick to your guns, man. And if as your information changes, so should your example or model on the world. So we'll see, dude. You could just be like call the Michael Jordan of shot calls out there, and that would be it. But yeah, man. So I hope you guys enjoyed this Attack on Titan episode. If you guys kind of are looking for a shift, I did a really, really interesting history piece and a book review on the Heart of Darkness and the history of Belgium in the Congo. It's quite a bit darker, super heavy on history, and a lot of things that I feel like a lot of people don't know about necessarily. So if you guys are looking for a shift, I would definitely recommend hopping on that one. And if you enjoy this, well, you'll be coming to another episode next week. But anyway, thank you for listening this far. Thank you for the interactions. Thank you for everything. If you want to reach out to us, theaboutcast@gmail.com. But anyway, thank you so much and peace.
Thank you.